Hello everyone, this is a short video on the Nimzowitsch Variation of English, which I consider to be quite a dangerous weapon by white, as shown in some recent Grandmaster games. So what is the Nimzowitsch Variation of the English? It's an answer to the move e5 in reply to c4, involving the following moves of knight to c3, and typically black will get both the knights out, so knight f6, knight f3, knight c6. And now the Nimzowitsch variation is not g3 or e3, which are the current trends, but rather the move e4, which is quite a promising move that has been played by quite a few strong players recently, such as Magnus Carlsen, Boris Gelfand, Hikaru Nakamura, and many other strong players. So what is the point of this e4 move? The idea is that we get quite a strong hold in the center, and given time we could play moves such as d4 and take over the center, much like in a 1d4 opening. So the first question you might have is, well, what if they play bishop to c5 and stop our idea of playing d4? Well, it turns out it doesn't really stop it after all, because in this case white can actually use a trick that you probably know from your school days, where you can play the fork trick knight takes e5, and if knight takes you can play d4. I remember about a decade ago I scored quite a few nice wins with this system, and after bishop b4, d takes c5, knight e4, I believe that the move queen f3 does give white a small advantage, based for example on games such as Carlsen versus Geary, which I might well cover in a future video to show just how dangerous this system is for black. I'll show a couple more moves if bishop takes and pawn takes. Black usually retreats the bishop to e7, but I'd say that black should probably play bishop a5, after which to bishop f4, and developing the king side will give white quite decent chances of an advantage. And if they play a passive move such as d6 after e4, then we can just play d4 and get quite a decent version of the King's Indian here as white. And finally, what if they play the best move here of bishop to b4? Well, then we'll play d3, and there's a fresh approach here that's actually been saying problems for black in some recent games. I can see it in recent Grandmaster games white has been scoring extremely well, using a following idea after d6. So what we can do is we can actually go after the bishop pair in this position, playing the move a3, where we're not afraid of the double pawns after bishop takes and b takes c3, because here the double pawns actually do a good job of controlling the center, and it'll be quite easy for white to castle kingside and play for an f4 break in the future to challenge the black center that way, while keeping this chunky pawn center. And I do believe that this position would be much easier for white to play. And finally, if black plays bishop c5, which is probably his best move, we can continue harassing the bishop with b4, bishop b6. Now a nice move, knight a4, obtaining the bishop pair advantage. And it's true that with best play, black should probably equalize here. However, white's development is pretty straightforward. We can play such as bishop e2, castles and bishop b2, and we will have both the bishop pair and a bit more space in the center to work with in this position. So I hope that you found this video useful. It's giving you an interesting new weapon against e5 in English. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you there.